There it is. There it is. There it is. Music to my ears. Love that sound. That means it's time for a twin this week in the news. And this week, I'm going to talk about Koel Thomae.
Who the heck is Koel?
Koel, I'm glad you asked there, Mr. Karnak. Let me tell you 5 tidbits about Koel Thomae. Tidbit number 1, the youth tidbit. Koel Thomae was born in Queensland, Australia, to an American mother and a Canadian father. She had dual citizenship, therefore, Australian and American. And even though her parents were trained in other disciplines, they were both very successful entrepreneurs. Her father was a biologist, and he started a successful wildlife guiding business in Queensland. Her mother specialized in education of the deaf, and much later in life, she started a successful craft business. So entrepreneurship was in Koel's blood. Koel's first job as a child was at a local ice cream shop. And as Koel states, this job taught me 3 important things. Number 1, how to think laterally. What do I do next? What do I do next? Number 2, how to be a good listener so I can get the order correct. Number 3, how to interact with many types of people, anybody who walked into the ice cream shop. All these skills would serve her well, as you'll see, as she matured. Koel was raised by her mother, her parents divorced, who taught her 2 skills, other skills that would directly impact her business success. And I think there's lessons here for parents. First thing Koel's mom, they use the word mom, taught Koel was how to handle money. Koel was given an allowance, and Koel was responsible for managing all of her expenses. Not the mom, Koel was. Koel had to create a budget and prioritize how she would spend her allowance. So Koel was taught money management. But here's something else Koel was taught, which I'm pretty sure I didn't teach my kids, and I wish I had. Koel's mother taught her how to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. What do I mean by that? Koel was constantly being dared by her mom to do the most ridiculous things. She was, as Koel said, she always pushed me to step outside my comfort zone, to do funny things, weird things, crazy things. She said, this taught me not to take myself so seriously and taught me something else. What's the worst thing that could happen if I did this? What? Some people might think I'm nuts. So what? Both Koel's father and mother encouraged her that whatever she did, do what made her happy. I would say that Koel had a very supportive and happy childhood in Australia's Gold Coast. Tidbit number 2, I called the walkabout tidbit. I didn't know what a walkabout was until I researched this. As is the tradition for some Australian youth, they would explore the world before settling down. They called this a walkabout. Well, Koel started her walkabout in the Western United States. Remember, she had dual citizenship, so it was easy for her to do that. And as most pretty young ladies or young ladies do, she met a guy. And the guy was based in Boulder, Colorado, and Koel wound up in Boulder, Colorado. I had never been to Boulder, but it turns out that Boulder is a mecca for people who are passionate about eating, cooking, and natural foods. Interestingly enough, these are all the things that Koel was passionate about. Well, Koel got a job because she was going to stay in Boulder, Colorado, and her first job was working in a cubicle, we all know what those are like, for an IT company. And as Koel states, and I'll quote her directly, this job sucked the soul right out of me. God, she hated it. She remembered her parents stressing, Koel, do what you're passionate about. And you know what? IT was not it. Well, Koel was passionate about food. So she says, duh, I'm going to get a job working in the natural food industry. Well, there was one problem, though. Except for eating it, Koel had no food experience. But Koel remembered what her mom taught her. Step outside your comfort zone. She says, what's the worst thing that could happen? These companies are going to say no? So what was her attitude? So Koel sent out application after application after application to all the food companies in the Boulder, Colorado area. And she got rejection after rejection after rejection, except for one. A company called Izzy, which is a natural soda company, IZZE. I've seen their bottles. They hired her. Well, Koel worked at Izzy for 4 years. And she worked her way up to be supply chain manager. This became very important later in her career. Things are starting to build for her. Tidbit number 3, I call the vacation tidbit. Shortly after starting her job at Izzy, Koel took a vacation trip to Australia to visit her mom. And it was during her 2005 vacation trip to Australia that Koel discovered something that would change her life forever. She was touring the various shops near her mom's home when she came across a locally made yogurt. Well, Koel liked yogurt. It was interesting because this yogurt was in a clear package and had passion fruit flavor. Passion fruit happens to be her favorite flavor. So she bought it and took it back to her mom's house. She ate the yogurt, and its revolutionary taste stopped Koel in her tracks. It was a full fat yogurt, not the trendy low fat and no fat. That was a craze of all the foodies at that time in 2005. And the passion fruit puree that was mixed in the yogurt was as pure as she had ever tasted. She thought to herself, there is no yogurt in the U.S. came even close to this yogurt. And she had tried just about all of them. The brand was called Noosa, N-O-O-S-A. It was named after a beach town on the Gold Coast of Australia. She wanted to bring this full-fat, full-flavored yogurt to the U.S. So she told her mom about her idea. And her mom encouraged Koel to contact the Mathewson family. They were the people that owned Noosa yogurt. And as her mom reminded her again, Koel, if you contact them, what's the worst that could happen? They say no, so what? So Koel contacted the Mathewson family, and she set up to meet with them, and she did. And she told them how blown away she was when she had her first taste of Noosa yogurt, and how she wanted to bring Noosa to the United States. The Mathewson family listened politely, and Koel, thank you for your praise and your interest, but we are very content with having Noosa yogurt just being sold in our local area. In other words, thanks, but no thanks, Koel, goodbye. Well, Koel returned back to the U.S. and her job at Izzy, and she was dejected and depressed, but still dreaming. She never stopped dreaming. While working at Izzy, Koel could not shake the taste experience of that Australian yogurt. And she talked about it so much that one day her boss pulled her inside and said, Koel, you are obsessing about this yogurt. You should just go for it again. So on her next vacation to Australia to visit her mom, Koel's mom encouraged her to contact the Mathewson family again. She did. And Mathewson family were just very nice, very polite. And they said, tell you what, let's meet for lunch this time. I guess they thought of, hey, at least I'll get something to eat while I'm being sweet to this young Australian gal. And after a long lunch with the Mathewson family and many beers, Koel states that this is an Australian tradition. Koel told them again how much she believed that Noosa yogurt was the most delicious yogurt on earth, and that she needed to eat it more than once a year when she visited her mom. She was using her emotion. And then Koel says, I've got a different relationship proposal for you. Will you, the Mathewson family, license me the recipe to your yogurt so that I could produce it in the United States? Mary's family says, what do I get to lose? Okay. And they granted her the license to use the recipe. From that lunch with many beers, a business relationship between Koel Thomae and the Mathewson family was created. Tidbit number 4, I call this the coffee shop tidbit. So Koel returned to the United States, she was out of her mind, all excited what she had just accomplished. She was going to start her own business. She was going to do something she was passionate about. These are important to her. And she had the rights to the recipe for the best yogurt in the world. What could possibly go wrong? And then, as we say in the U.S., then the yogurt hit the fan. The yogurt hit the fan. Koel was delving deep into what it takes to start a business in the U.S. After all, she's Australian. And she was going through all the rules and regs. And then she says, oh, man. She quickly learned of the complex dairy regulations to start a dairy kind business in the United States. She read it and studied it and thought about it. And she says, man, these presented so many hurdles. And you know what? I can't do this. I'm not prepared to take this on herself. But Koel was not prepared to give up her dream of starting a yogurt business. So one day she was in a coffee shop in Boulder, Colorado, thinking and pondering and obsessing, if you will, about a yogurt business. And she noticed a flyer at the coffee shop. And the flyer was for a local dairy. She says, I'm going to cold call this dairy and speak to the owner. From her training with her mom, Koel, what's the worst that can happen? He's going to say no, right? Well, she called, and Rob Graves, Jaravia, a fourth generation of the owner farm, the dairy farm, took the call and agreed to meet with Koel at the farm. Well, Koel was excited. She said, man, this is awesome. So she visited him at the farm, toured the farm, and it was all good stuff. And she told him of her visit to Australia and how she was blown away by this full-fat Noosa yogurt and how she had acquired the rights, the worldwide rights to use this recipe and her desire to start a yogurt business. He listened. He was very polite and agreed to, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. We know what that means, the kiss of death, right? So Koel left knowing that she had a lot more work to do to convince Rob of her idea for a yogurt business. She got home and called her mom instantly and told her what had happened. And she said, Mom, I don't know what you have to do, but I need samples of Noosa yogurt sent to me in Boulder, Colorado as soon as possible. Don't know how her mom did it, but soon after that conversation, Koel received samples of Noosa yogurt in Colorado. She called Rob again and says, Rob, got to set up another meeting, one more meeting to talk about her business idea. Again, they met. This time she gave Rob a sample of Noosa yogurt to taste. And the moment he tasted the sample, he was sold on the idea, and he jointly agreed with Koel to start a yogurt business.
G'day, I'm Koel Thomae. I am the co-founder of Noosa Yogurt. So I was home visiting my family in Australia. Noosa is this really cool little beach community in my home state. And I was coming back from the beach, stopped at the local corner shop and discovered this clear tub with a pop of passion fruit, which is a quintessential Aussie flavor and my favorite flavor. Didn't quite know what it was and picked it up. It was completely unbranded. Discovered it was yogurt and I was like, I'm going to try this. And I've eaten a lot of really good food in my life, but this truly was literally the best thing I've ever tasted. As an Aussie expat, you get very sort of wistful about things you discover in your homeland that you don't get to eat. And I was working for a startup beverage company at the time, and I sort of thought, well, if they can do it, why can't I? So I just went for it. I figured out a way to, connect with this Australian family and license their recipe. Came back to Colorado feeling very elated and bullish, but with no plan. So I was in the search for a great dairy partner, and I was in my local coffee shop in Boulder, and I saw a flyer for Morning Fresh Dairy, and their story immediately resonated with me. It was a fourth generation dairy farm, all natural, not treating their cows with growth hormones, growing all their own feed. And so I essentially cold called and connected with Farmer Rob, so just had a chat. I think he thought I was a little crazy.
I grew up with dairy. That's about all I know is dairy farm, dairy cows. My great-grandparents, I think, arrived here in the 1890s. I guess I think of the sacrifices my grandparents, my parents have made, It's a commitment to a way of life. Over 100 and some years, we've always stayed, we've worked the land. It's a part of us. There's a lot of pride in what we do and what we do as a team. The schoolhouse, my grandfather went to school here 100 years ago. With Noosa and the growth, we've got a lot of change going on, a lot of new. By preserving this, it just reminds us where we came from. I was never a yogurt fan.
It wasn't until I actually got him a sample of the yogurt. I had to get my mum to actually ship it from Australia.
After trying the yogurt, I decided we can make this. So the rest is history.
We just kind of hit the ground running.
It's been all-consuming, challenging, but very rewarding.
Colorado, I think, really does resonate with people, and sort of this idea of food and culture and just community. So it's been amazing for us to sort of grow up here and have the community just sort of embrace the product. It really has sort of translated into this larger success.
I'm mainly just proud that we were able to do this in Bellevue, Colorado. After growing up here, small town, this is a true success story on a small little farm.
Tidbit number 5, I call it the Noosa tidbit. In 2009, Rob Graves and Koel Thomae founded the Noosa Yogurt Company in Colorado. Koel invested her life savings to fund a yogurt machine. Her thought was, going back to her mom again, what's the worst that can happen? If this Noosa Yogurt Company doesn't work, I'll get a job and start all over again. No big deal. For the first 3 years of their company, Koel and Rob did not take any income from Noosa. Didn't bother Rob because he had his dairy business. But Koel got a second job to pay her bills. Noosa had no money budgeted for marketing. So Rob and Noel made yogurt in small batches, and Koel will go to fairs, farmers markets, and larger gatherings, wherever people were, set up a little table and get out samples of the Noosa yogurt to drive word of mouth and to try and sell Noosa yogurt. They started getting small local retailers to sell their yogurt. Now, Rob was already selling bottled milk to the local Whole Food stores, and the buyer agreed to meet with Rob and Noel to consider selling Noosa yogurt at the local Whole Food stores. But when they met with the Whole Food buyers, he had a problem with their packaging. He hated it. It was large, not the standard yogurt size, and they're all concerned about packaging. It was transparent. That makes no damn sense at all. Why do you want to see yogurt is yogurt? Don't worry about it. It was like anything else on the yogurt aisle. He wanted a packaging changed, or Whole Food would most likely not stock Noosa yogurt. Here's where Koel did her thing. She changed the subject to taste and says, before we talk about that, I want you to taste this sample. He liked it. It was like anything on the market. Then she told Whole Foods, oh, by the way, it's too late to change the packaging because we've already purchased and installed the equipment. Not quite true, but it was in the works. The buyer relented and agreed to stock Noosa yogurt in the packaging that he hated. Ironically, Noosa is still using that same packaging today. and it became a game changer for them. There was nothing else like it in the yogurt section, and customers have told them that they bought their first Noosa yogurt because it looked different and the transparent packaging make it look fresh. Their packaging disrupted the yogurt aisle. It didn't fit in little slots. They were growing at a steady but slow pace. Koel was also taking any profits that they made from Noosa yogurt, and she was going to national food shows, again giving out samples. In 2012, it was at one of these food shows that a buyer from Target visited their booth, tasted the yogurt, and the taste wowed him as well. He decided to do a trial and stock Noosa yogurt at 250 super Target stores. This is where Koel's supply chain experience that she learned at Izzy came into play. She had worked with the Target supply chain, so she knew how to deliver and service Target the way they wanted to be serviced. The Target went well, and they expanded Noosa yogurt to 1,500 Target stores. In a few years, Noosa was doing over $100 million in year in revenue. In 2014, Koel Thomae and Rob Graves decided that the best way to take Noosa yogurt to the next level was to sell the company. Their asking price was $600 million. Advent, a company called Advent, bought the company. Now, I don't know how much, because Noosa was privately held. I don't know how much Advent paid to acquire Noosa, but Koel and Rob are still smiling. Not bad for a young lady who started at an ice cream shop. And as I was thinking about this, I said, you know what? The Koel Thomae story is a twist on that classic girl meets boy love story. And I copied this, it's not my idea, but like girl meets yogurt. Girl falls in love with yogurt. Girl brings yogurt home. Everybody falls in love with yogurt, and 5 years later, girl sells yogurt and makes millions of dollars. Koel Thomae is a superstar. And as again, I took it, then I review and see what lessons I can have. And I said, Koel Thomae is a superstar because she does the things that most entrepreneurs don't do. I've identified 6 situations where Koel Thomae did what most people don't. The first is what I call the Australian Noosa situation. And I'll describe it. Koel met with the Mathewson family with a proposal to expand Noosa yogurt distribution to the U.S. They rejected her proposal. A year later, Koel met with them again over lunch and beers with a different proposal. Most people would stop pursuing the Mathewson family after they were rejected the first time. They would discard their idea to distribute Noosa yogurt and go on to the next stream. They don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Koel Thomae, after being rejected the first time, was even more determined to expand Noosa yogurt to the U.S. Koel came back with a different proposal. She wanted the rights to use the family recipe. She'd be responsible for producing it. They agreed, and Koel had the beginnings of a startup company. 3 entrepreneur questions. Is there someone you wanted to engage with to help your business that rejected your proposal? If that someone would agree, how much would it help your business? And can you craft an alternate proposal that they would accept and would also help your business, like Koel did? Number 2, the dairy farmer situation. While sitting in a coffee shop, pondering how to solve her overwhelming dairy regulations problem, Koel came across a flyer promoting a local dairy, and she cold called the dairy farmer to set up the meeting. Most people would notice the flyer, think about calling the dairy farmer, but not make the call because cold calling made them uncomfortable. Some people might send an email to the dairy farmer requesting a meeting and hope that they would call back. Koel did something different. Thanks to her mom's training, Koel became comfortable with the uncomfortable. She called and scheduled a meeting. After the pitch, she noticed that the dairy farmer was lukewarm for starting, and Koel was not deterred. She scheduled a second meeting, this time bringing samples of the Australian yogurt, and he agreed to partner with Koel to start the yogurt business. 3 questions. How committed are you to growing your business? Are you willing to be uncomfortable in order to grow your business? What uncomfortable things should you do now to grow your business? The all-in situation, number 3. No matter how uncomfortable Koel was all in when she and Rob agreed to start the Noosa Yogurt Company. Most people will gladly start a business as long as it's not too inconvenient. After all, they have a life outside the business. Koel says, my business is my life. And she became comfortable with the uncomfortable. She invested her life savings to start Noosa Yogurt. What's the worst that can happen? It fails, she start again. She took no pay from Noosa for the first 3 years. She got a second job to pay the bills. Koel was all in. My question is for entrepreneurs. Are you all in to grow your business? What uncomfortable thing could you do that could potentially grow your business? If you have not yet done this uncomfortable thing, are you really all in? 4th one, the buck the trend situation. When Koel started Noosa Yogurt, the hugely popular trend was low-fat yogurt. By the way, it still is. Most people would follow this trend and introduce their version of a low-fat Noosa Yogurt. They would rather be one of the many yogurt companies offering low-fat because that's what people wanted. Koel Thomae did just the opposite. She was comfortable bucking the low-fat trend. She wanted Noosa to be different. She did not want to waver from the original Noosa recipe. She had already tasted low-fat yogurt and it was not very good. She believed people would accept full-fat yogurt if the flavor was outstanding. 3 questions. Do you want your business to stand out from your competitors? Are you willing to defy the trend? How soon will you promote and offer something that bucks the trend? Situation number 5, the bootstrap marketing, zero-cost marketing. When Noosa Yogurt was started, there was no money in a budget for marketing. Most people would either charge their credit cards or borrow money to market their product. How else are you going to introduce your product and make sales, right? You got to pay for marketing. Koel Thomae used her ingenuity and hard work to market Noosa Yogurt. She produced samples of different flavors. Then she attended fairs, country markets, anywhere people were gathered to hand out Noosa Yogurt samples. She generated word-of-mouth marketing. 3 entrepreneur questions. Do you believe in bootstrap marketing? If you had no other choice, how would you market your products or services with bootstrap marketing? Why aren't you doing bootstrap marketing now for your business? And finally, the last situation I call the Whole Foods situation. Whole Foods strongly suggested that they would not stock Noosa Yogurt unless they changed their packaging. Most people would change their packaging to meet Whole Foods demands. Number 1, the customer's always right, and they are Whole Foods. Who are we? Nobody's to challenge their request. Thomae says, no, I'm not going to change the packaging. I wanted Noosa to stand out in the yogurt aisle. She believed that the clear packaging would reinforce their natural food image. And she, by the way, she also told Whole Foods it was too late. They had already purchased and installed the equipment. My 3 questions. Does your product or services clearly stand out from your competition? How can you repackage your product and services to clearly stand out? And how soon can you repackage your products and services? In looking at this, I became very curious, and I said, I wonder if anybody here locally sells Noosa Yogurt. I visited Winco. I visited Stater Brothers. I visited Albertsons, and I visited Ralph's. All 4 were selling Noosa Yogurt in the clear packaging. And boy, did it stand out. I bought 1 of each. Flavor, different ones. Damn, it is really good. It is really, really good. I will never have low-fat yogurt again. And gentlemen, that's my story about Koel Thomae, today's superstar, and my twin. That's it.
Well, I'm shocked, Frank, that you didn't drive out here and give me some Noosa yogurt. Well, Dick and I could eat Noosa yogurt at the same time.
Noosa. Yeah,
Noosa yogurt, you know.
Noosa yogurt.
We would have liked that, huh, Dick? Well, he's coughing.
Yeah, it is. It is really good. It is. I mean, because it's full flat and full flavor. My favorite is they have something called a mate, which is like a vanilla flavored base, and at the top it has a package, has little mix-ins that you put, like the one that has chocolate, coconut, and something, a 3rd one, and you mix it yourself and eat it. Man, and it's under 300 calories. It is real, but it has carbs. I know you're into carbs.
Yeah, well, you know, if I started eating that, I'd be back to being a diabetic.
Yeah, no, and we're not for you, but it is. I'll tell you, I can see why people are blown away by its flavor. It is that good. So that's my Koel Thomae story.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.